So what does this have to do with your retirement planning? I'm glad you asked. Hello and welcome back to the Retirement Thinking channel. I suppose at some point we'll stop talking about what happened during 2020, but we're not there quite yet. I also want to mention that while we're talking about retirement issues, we're not ignoring the tragedy of the pandemic and the medical and personal fallout it brought. Everybody has been affected to some degree or another, but the goal of this channel is to focus on the economic impact of what's been happening and how we can wrap our minds around what it means to our retirement plans. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that perfectly illustrates 2020's economic behavior. The scene is the legendary Hayward Field on the campus of the University of Oregon in Eugene. Several years ago, track and field fans witnessed the kind of finish that's rare even for this historic track. The event was the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase. It's a truly grueling middle-distance race that includes the added challenge of 5 30-inch-high wooden barriers, like big bulky hurdles. Oh, and one of them requires the competitors to land in the track and field equivalent of a kiddie pool. This early summer race featured some of the nation's top high school runners competing alongside collegiate athletes and Olympic hopefuls. As the runners took off for the 7.5-lap race, the capacity crowd cheered, hoping to inspire their favorite athlete to do something remarkable, and today they would not be disappointed. Though the elite runners had set a fast pace, one of the high school competitors was not far behind, until disaster struck. With over 2 laps to go, as she was landing in the water pit, a runner behind her accidentally caught the back of her foot. The girl stumbled forward, nearly falling face down in the water, and to add insult to injury, her left shoe came off. A friend who was at the race watching said it would have been completely understandable if the fallen runner had simply stepped off the track. It was a tough break. Everyone could see that the race was over for her, but she didn't agree. And jumping out of the water while quickly untying her shoe, she slipped it back on, retied the laces, and took off after the pack. Now that alone takes a lot of heart. Seeing her determination not to quit, the crowd exploded, roaring its approval. Barrier by barrier, she began to gain on the field and even passed runners at the back of the pack. Her sprint to the dramatic finish brought the crowd to its feet. I wish I'd been there. No, she didn't win the race. World-class runners are tough enough for a teenager to beat under the best of circumstances. But she did run the fastest women's steeplechase by an American high schooler to that point in the year. Even after stopping mid-race to put her shoe back on and tie it. Amazing. So what does this have to do with your retirement planning? I'm glad you asked. In 2020, the stock market did something just as unlikely. After suffering dramatic losses in March, at that point down 30% year to date and 34% from the recent high, it climbed back up, figuratively put its shoe back on, and finished the year with double-digit gains. Talk about comebacks. And just how big of a swing was it? Ben Carlson, writing for A Wealth of Common Sense, looked at the biggest drops and recoveries since 1928. The nearly 34% drop gave 2020 the 8th worst maximum drawdown within a calendar year. But by ending December nearly 14% in the positive, 2020 has gone down in history as the worst intra-year drawdown that ended up finishing the year with a positive return. So yes, 2020 was the worst, in a way. Most investors would agree that this kind of movement seems a little insane. The investors I spoke to throughout the year certainly would have agreed. To this, Carlson says the stock market can look like a raging lunatic in the short term, but that doesn't mean you have to invest like a raging lunatic as well. He suggests sitting on your hands and not panicking, even when stocks are down big, because this remains one of your best investment strategies, and I agree. Now, the more time you spend watching my videos, the more you'll hear this as a recurring theme. Disciplined behavior wins. Now, as that classic Hayward Field steeplechase reminds us, things might look bad in the middle of the race, yet what really matters is the finish. Now, realistically, how do we define the finish line for a retirement investor? It probably means different things to different people. To some, the finish line might be the end of your working life. Retirement may be the end of one race, though. It's still the starting line of another race where investment philosophy and discipline are just as important. The crucial thing to remember is planning for retirement doesn't exclude planning through retirement. So that's what's in my retirement thinking right now. I hope you find value in this message and the other stories I'm sharing. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. I'm also very eager to hear your thoughts, so please leave me your comments below and let me know if you have any retirement-related topics you'd like me to cover. Thank you for watching.